And we had the affirmative action ruling just last year, which has now really changed the way college admissions are supposed to be done. I don't know whether it's in fact changing all of the college admissions, but it appears that at least at MIT, they did take the ruling to heart, as they must, because it's now the supreme law. And National Review posting a very interesting look at what happened at MIT in this first class that's post the affirmative action admissions ruling. For the incoming class of 2028, the percentage of Asian American students increased markedly from 40 to 47%. The percentage of Black students dropped from 15% to 5%. Hispanic students dropped from 16% to 11%. The percentage of white students stayed roughly the same. The conclusion being by National Review and our pal Rich Lowry, they absolutely were obviously working to keep out meritorious Asian American applicants. And what's happening now is all of the Black students and the Hispanic students who are in will not have to deal with the looks at them by other people, wondering whether they got in because they checked a box. They are there because they deserve to be there, period.
Well, it's a question if some of these universities are going to follow these rules anyway. Like I think I saw something about how Princeton and Yale, basically nothing has changed. Because
Exactly.
they have essay questions and they kind of have a way to sneak around, not explicitly asking for the race. That said, the problem at the core is cultural and incentive based. As long as the people in the university system believe in affirmative action, we're going to have affirmative action despite Supreme Court rulings because they'll just violate it on individual basis. And that's the pernicious things about these modern religions like Marxism, whereas if the individuals believe so strongly in the religion that they're going to follow it to a T no matter what, then top-down enforcement doesn't matter because they'll just break the rules on an individual basis. So I think culturally, the institutions are going to continue to be this way. And it's fundamental to the nature of institutions themselves. There's a small number of institutions that can stay true to mission, but the vast majority of institutions automatically get corrupted. And the larger the institution, the more corrupt it is. And the reason for that is because a group needs consensus to stay together. For a group to stay together, everyone in the group has to be happy and to agree with each other. So groups can't change their mind. And because they're consensus-based, it's all about making everybody get along. And if that sounds familiar, that's the core tenet of sort of these, equality, Marxism kind of movements where everybody has to agree, everybody has to get along. Whereas nature and free markets, as I mentioned earlier, these are merit-based systems. And in merit-based systems, you do have a hierarchy. There's a top gorilla, there's a top dog. And so I think generally these highly mob-based institutions where everybody gets an equal say regardless of merit, they tend to degenerate. And so I think universities are just on that slow degeneration cycle, just like mass media. And so luckily, the internet is offering us a decentralized alternative. The internet has this weird property where it consolidates everything into one giant hegemonic winner and then into a billion little tiny competitors. So as an example, we replace a whole bunch of local stores like Target and Walmart with one giant Amazon and a million little sellers in Shopify and eBay. We replaced dozens of local monopoly cab companies with one Uber and maybe a Lyft. And then, maybe people in their self-driving Teslas. So it's sort of the nature of the internet that it offers us alternatives like homeschooling. And I think and hope by the time my kids are, old enough that college won't even be an important thing. People will realize that it's just a stamp now. It's a credentialing institution that you get for admission into the elite class. And it doesn't really have a whole lot to do with education. If anything, it's more, brainwashing, hanging out with your peers, paid daycare, paid vacation, what have you.
It's true.
In our society,
it's a bridge between young adulthood and actual adulthood, where you can go and sort of park your car for a while and come of age and have a bunch of fun and make a bunch of friends. But yeah, as a learning activity, I'm not sure it's anything like what it used to be.
Well, the means for learning are now abundant. You can go on YouTube and onto the internet and get everything you want in terms of classes and learning, but it's the desire to learn that's scarce. Very few people actually want to learn most things. So college is a checkbox. And the easiest way to see that is if we said, okay, you could go to college, but you wouldn't get a diploma, would you still do it? If you wouldn't get a credential, you wouldn't do it. So I think the best move now is just to get admitted to a Stanford or an MIT, drop out and put the admission letter on your wall.
Exactly. More and more people are doing that. I mean, what do you make of it? Because I know you're big on books. You're an avid reader. And there are a lot of us who are raising kids right now who want them to be avid readers and want them to sort of be self-educating in the way that you did your entire life up until now. But we're up against tech. We're up against these overachieving sports communities where it's like every waking minute you'll be playing X, not X, the formerly known as Twitter, but, some sport. So you'll get into the best college. Like, how do you foster in your family the things that you say are important, like this love of reading?
You can't really, I can't force my kids to read either. Their attention spans are shot because of the age of iPad and social media. That said, what matters are not books. The number of books read is a pure vanity metric. What matters are the ideas. Do you understand the core ideas? And you understand them when you want to understand them. For example, if you were to travel back in time and you were to tell people some important little tidbits of knowledge, you would start with the atomic structure of nature. You would start with the germ theory of disease. You would start with maybe E equals mc squared or force equals mass times acceleration, depending on where you want to start them in their physics journey. But there's just a small amount of knowledge that you kind of have to understand and learn. David Deutsch, who's my current favorite scientific author, he talks about this in The Fabric of Reality, that there's basically 4 great explanations that can be used to explain at a high level almost everything going on in the world. And so if you understand epistemology, which is just the theory of knowledge, if you understand evolution by natural selection, if you understand quantum computation, if you understand quantum physics, at least even at high levels, then you've got the framework to understand almost everything else, including philosophy, including politics, including art, including beauty, including memetics and ideas and so on. So I think it's more about understanding the really important things. And the good news about the important things is that if you understand them well, then you can actually explain reality. This is why relativism that says, every kind of science is valid or every belief is valid is not correct. Like, you can't launch rockets by not understanding physics. And you can't navigate even your own life, learning how to make money or how to be happy, if you have bad knowledge, if you have bad explanations. So good explanations do match up to reality much better. And so with my kids, I just always try to teach them the important things. But honestly, you can't teach kids anything. They learn on their own. They learn because they're curious. They learn because they want to.
If those are the 4 subject areas that I need to understand in order to understand life, you have just explained why I'm so confused all the time. I'm going to start reading.
There's more. There's
reading more.
And there's definitely more. Like, for example, human psychology, right? I'll give you a quick example on a different one. Human psychology. It's very popular these days to say, okay, why is so-and-so depressed? Well, they're depressed because of a chemical imbalance in their brain. So we're going to go ahead and give them a pill. Well, everything is a chemical imbalance in your brain. Even my consciousness is a chemical imbalance in my brain. My attitude, my mood, my speaking to you is a chemical imbalance in your brain. So this is one of those explanations that is the wrong level. It explains everything going on in my brain, so it actually explains nothing. It's like saying, why are we talking right now on this call? Well, it's because of particle collision since the Big Bang, cause and effect, and here we are. Well, that explains everything, so it explains nothing. So instead, we have to look at an explanation at the right level. And, if I'm depressed, it might be because things aren't going my way. It might be a habit that I adopted when I was young. And yes, there are genetic predilections and chemical imbalances that predispose me to it. And maybe I take the pill or I take the medicine to make myself a little happier and less depressed so I can function while I solve my underlying problems. But approaching it as purely a chemical imbalance is the wrong level of explanation. So I try to explain this to my kids. So, for example, if they get angry or if they get unhappy, I try not to use words like I'm saying, like, why are you angry? Like, why are you unhappy? Or don't be angry. Instead, I'll say, like, why are you making yourself unhappy? Because ultimately, every feeling you have inside of you are causing it to yourself at some deep level. And I think being able to take agency for that and realize that is important. And of course, I have to live that. The only way I can raise my children is by being an example for them.
Do you owe back taxes or have unfiled returns? Along with hiring tens of thousands of new agents and field officers, the IRS has been sending over 5 million pay-up letters to those who have unfiled tax returns or balances owed. Don't waive your rights and speak with these guys on your own. Instead, Tax Network USA, a trusted tax relief firm, has saved more than $1 billion in back taxes for their clients, and they might help to secure you the best deal possible. Whether you owe $10,000 or $10 million, they can help you. Whether it's business or personal taxes, even if you have the means to pay, or if you're on a fixed income, they can help you. Finally resolve your tax burdens once and for all. Call these guys at 1-800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com/Megyn. Don't let the IRS control your life. Empower yourself with Tax Network USA's support and take charge of your financial future. tnusa.com/MEGYN. Visit there today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.